In the summers of 1965 and 1966, a fad was reportedly taking a hold of America's youth. Armed with lipsticks, eye makeup, a brush, and perhaps a stencil and waterproof paint palette, teens and young adults were turning their knees into art. Everybody's doing it, 17 magazine reported. Harper's Bazaar added, "You might say it had to happen." This is the story of the painted knees fad of the mid-1960s.
Yeah.
As with many fads, the origins of the painted knee craze of the 1960s is murky. Some sources from the time attributed it organically to West Coast teenagers. Another source describes it as the invention of a Pittsburgh housewife who distributed cosmetics for Vivian Woodard. Still others point to William Lowe, a makeup artist for Charles of the Ritz who was dubbed the founder of optical leg art. But while its origins are muddy, one thing is crystal clear. The fad was intricately tied to rapidly changing fashions, specifically rising hemlines. In the 1960s, the miniskirt was in vogue, and the legs and knees very much on display in everyday wear. And, according to the experts, the newly bared knees were in need of some makeup. Exposing the knee, which is terribly ugly, is the most daring thing a woman can do, said Giel, the makeup artist for Max Factor. A representative for Elizabeth Arden offered, "Knees can change for better or worse the entire look of the legs." Naturally, many cosmetics companies leapt at the chance to offer their products as the solution for knobby or puffy knees. "Why stop your beauty treatment at your chin line?" Charles of the Ritz asked. "The knees cry out for attention too." But knee and leg makeup wasn't limited to camouflaging perceived imperfections. It could be a form of personal expression. If you had the skill to paint upside down, your knees and legs could be the canvas for a portrait, flower, butterfly, snake, heart, peace sign, or even pop culture references like Batman or James Bond. And for those less artistically inclined, vinyl decals or stencils could be used to adorn the knees and legs with unique designs. Harper's Bazaar enthused, "Never before in the history of makeup has the personal creative impulse been given such wild, free, and wonderful reign." Now, I'll pause here and note that painting your knees was not a wholly new trend in the 1960s. Flappers of the 1920s had not only rouged their knees and pulled their stockings down, but had also taken a brush to their legs, embracing the freedom of knee-length skirts that would have scandalized previous generations. Their knee art ranged from simple flowers to ornate landscapes and portraits, meant to rebel by attracting attention to the previously taboo knee and legs. It's not clear how many people actually painted designs in their legs in the 1920s, but newspapers had an absolute field day of sensationalized and sometimes fabricated reporting of knee decorating, resulting in parental punishments, school expulsions, and even divorce. Knee painting continued to periodically pop up in the decades following the Roaring '20s, but it wasn't until the mid-1960s that it really took a hold once more. In August 1965, celebrity gossip columnist Lloyd Shearer declared that painted knees were the latest summer fad. And while knee painting in the 1920s was deemed offensive and worthy of punishment, it was mostly seen as harmless in the 1960s. It was a fun thing to do while sitting on the beach or before going dancing. The Ladies' Home Journal recommended younger readers, quote, "give a knee painting party with prizes for the best decorations. Tell the boys to wear jams or Bermudas so they can get in on the act too." 17 magazine named 1966 the summer to paint your knees, and urged, "paint your knees and fake a freckled face look when you're in the mood, for fun." Media coverage of the craze described it with words like zany, kooky, and silly. But several cosmetics companies took painted knees very seriously, and they began marketing products specifically for knee and leg decoration. Revlon, for example, had a stemwear set, complete with leg complexion makeup, liquid knee rouge, a leg art coloring set, and inspirational sketches from Joe Eula, an artist whose fashion illustrations were legendary. But you didn't actually need to buy specialty products to paint your knees. Everyday items like eye makeup or lipstick could double as the palette for knee art. This meant that the barrier of entry for the fad was fairly low. It also means that it's really hard to quantify how popular or widespread the fad was. Some contemporaries wondered if knee and leg painting was even a fad at all. NEA reporter Eileen Snoddy asked, "Leg decorating definitely is a fad, but if it is a fad, where can decorated legs be seen?" Other reporters made similar observations. "I haven't seen any teenagers with painted knees, but the long summer days are up ahead. Who knows what may blossom forth?" Although there are some short skirts running around Charlotte, the painted knee fad pictured in magazines and newspapers hasn't hit the streets here yet. And Newsweek asked, "Are the fashion masters pulling your leg with all the new leg makeup and knee accessories?" Even William Lowe from Charles and the Ritz, the makeup director whose knee art ended up making national news, described the fad as strictly for fun. It was meant for people with a sense of humor or daring, and is designed to be worn at small intimate parties and to the beach. Though Lowe did think perhaps cosmetics as an accessory would be the future. He told Q magazine that once chemists figured out how to control aging, which Lowe predicted would happen by 1995, we won't need it for cover-up, so we'll use it for decoration. Giel from Max Factor had less lofty ambitions, but still thought that applying knee makeup might someday be as normal as wearing fake lashes. On the other hand, Pablo, a makeup artist for Elizabeth Arden, found knee makeup distasteful. "It's not elegant. It's a dreadful consequence of incredible fashion." Regardless of how the experts felt, the painted knee fad appears to have largely peaked in 1966. Body painting overall persisted for a few more years, particularly among the free-spirited hippies. But fashions were shifting once more. The miniskirt look that had prompted so much discussion about knees and legs was, according to Women's Wear Daily and some designers, dead by the end of the decade.
With a circulation of only 90,000, this tiny trade paper is the most powerful and influential voice in women's fashion. And when it speaks, it says MIDI. We talked to Women's Wear Daily publisher James Brady about his paper's crusade.
We don't think it's a crusade. What we think is that the miniskirt has been around so long now that it's time for change, and really fashion is change. And we're a newspaper writing about fashion, and the news right now is the new longer skirt.
And while Women's Wear Daily was premature in predicting the demise of the miniskirt, painted knees were relegated from the houses of major fashion and cosmetics brands to country fairs and school spirit weeks before disappearing almost altogether. But who knows, maybe knee or leg makeup could make a comeback. It wouldn't be the first time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel below. It really helps me out. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.